Well, it's rivalry weekend for MLB, and there's no better than the Silver Boot Series. It was a split for the Rangers and the Astros. A lot happened today. We're going to get into it on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Come hang out. More pain is right. Welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast studio. I am Abby Jones, joined with the Prophet, Elijah, and Jeff Wilson is out at Globe Life Field. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Abby. Hi, Elijah. Yeah, I'm here, and the building's not on fire. There's some angry people in my Twitter notifications, but if the Rangers were mad, they did a good job concealing it. Disappointed, but I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be fined by MLB.
There you go. You were at the field all weekend. What was the vibe like around the park?
Well, I mean, frustrating to split the series, especially the ways the Rangers lost both games. But it was a series split, a 4-game series against a division rival, a good team. Really, you don't want to walk away with anything less than a split. So the Rangers did the minimum. The way they lost the games, what was it, Friday in the 7th and today in the 8th, very frustrating concerns for Chris Martin, the way he left the game today. Really, the 8th inning was just screwy all around, and top and bottom. And so, it happens fast. Life comes at you quick. But that's baseball, as they say. They move on now. They have a 6-game road trip coming up, 3 tough ones and hopefully 3 not so tough ones. But I think this team is generally headed in the right direction. I think, the takeaway from the weekend is, yes, this could have been a sweep. Yes, the Rangers are playing better. Yes, they need to continue to play better. Now they might need some bullpen help.
Right. And this is, the time they're going to meet. They have 9 more meetings left in the series. And what Rangers fans do know about the series is it's a very different Astros team than it has been in years prior. I mean, there's no Justin Verlander. There's no Kyle Tucker. There's no Alex Bregman. So, it is a lot of new faces for the fan base. What was your takeaway on guys like Christian Walker and, a few of the new guys from the Astros side of things?
Well, Paredes, Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes had the 2 biggest hits for the Astros on the weekend. They hit the 3-run homers that flipped Rangers leads into deficits. They were the 2 counter punches to losing Bregman and Tucker. This team has a chance to get better offensively when whatever is ailing Yordan Alvarez is remedied, and they're going to get some starting pitching back that's down right now. So they're going to be better, but they're definitely not the same team. They're not as good. You don't sweat every inning when they're at the plate. There are some holes there that some moments where a pitcher might be able to take a little bit of a breath. But they're decent. They're not bottom feeders. They're still going to be a team to contend with when September rolls around. I think they'll be in the picture. But I think the Rangers will be too. And I think that these last 10 games that they've played have kind of shown that.
Well, to start with Jack Leiter, incredible performance from him. The stat line for him might not reflect as dominant as his outing was. Those 2 earned runs also came after he exited the game. But Jack Leiter was lights out tonight. That's one of his best performances. You tweeted it's the first time that he's gone into the 8th inning in his major league career. He recorded his first quality start, his last outing against the Rockies. What was your thoughts on him today, and did he say anything at the podium?
He was at his locker. Unfortunately, he didn't come to the podium, but um, uh, nevertheless, he talked about he got a lot of swings on first pitches, a lot of first pitch outs. That always helps keep your pitch count down, which allowed him to go into the eighth. He was only in the 70s when he started the eighth inning, and hopefully it taught him something. If you throw quality strikes early in at bats, hey, you might get some early outs. Now they hit some balls right at guys, but um, some of that is positioning by the infielders. And anyway, it was just good, and he doesn't have to strike everybody out. I think he needs to realize that. If you make good pitches in the strike zone, his stuff's good enough. As long as he's not throwing it middle, he should be all right. And so maybe this is a good learning experience for him. The eighth inning when he went back out, maybe you can second guess that one. He'd never done that before, but you know, he hadn't the Astros hadn't threatened against him in the entire game, and leadoff single not hit hard. Then the second at bat with Cam Smith, it was a flare, nothing more, nothing less. The kid did not hit the ball hard. Plus, and this is what kind of got some Rangers fans going. Um, Jack Leiter threw 6 pitches in the at bat, and if you look at the game tracker, all 6 were strikes. However, it went to a full count,
Yeah.
and so Cam Smith ended up getting a second, third, and fourth life, and really should have been put away earlier. So then you bring Chris Martin into the game, high leverage situation, and his first pitch he hurts a shoulder, not the elbow. That's I don't know if that's good or bad. The elbow that bothered him Tuesday. The MRI came back clean. He they took his time. He pitched. What was it? Yesterday he pitched. So he came back and was ready to go today, and it was just a different body part. But this one doesn't look very good. I mean, you saw his reaction. He was
Very apparent.
cursing and screaming and not remotely happy. So I would suspect that if Cole Winn was driving to Round Rock, that he has quickly turned around and will be trying to make this charter flight. I think an IL move is imminent. With this one, you really shouldn't mess with any arm injury at this point. But I'm guessing that Chris will have an MRI tomorrow, and then they'll make the decision on whether to IL him. It certainly seems like they, just judging by his reaction, it seems like this one's not. This one's a little more severe than what happened to him Tuesday night.
And Bochy's official comment on that was shoulder discomfort. Is that what he said?
Shoulder discomfort. Yeah, gonna take a look at it. That was it. And then puts Robert Garcia in a little bit
Oh,
of a tough spot.
such a pinch at the eighth. Yeah.
He already down in the count 1-0, but he gets the 2 outs, and the home run that Paredes hit was on a bad pitch. It was bad location, but he also was lunging at the ball because it was a changeup, and so he didn't crush the ball. It wasn't hit like 112 miles an hour. He just hit it far enough and in the right spot in the ballpark to get it out. So then you go to the bottom of the eighth inning, and the first 2 Rangers absolutely scorch balls right to outfielders who have to make running and sliding catches. Then Adolis Garcia gets on, and then Jonah Heim hits a ball 103 miles an hour that gets caught at the warning track. So kind of a that's just the way baseball works. The Astros don't hit 3 balls hard and end up getting 3 runs, and then the Rangers scorch 4 balls because Adolis Garcia's hit was hit 100 miles an hour. They hit 4 balls hard and don't get anything.
And underlying part of this game was Jack Leiter had a no going on, through
Yeah,
through 7 almost.
yeah. He came within 1 batter of getting to the 7th without any hits allowed. The ball that was hit out was um, I guess a hanging off speed pitch on a 3-2 pitch to a pretty good hitter in Diaz. Frustrating way for it to end, but yeah, great performance. He had never finished 7 innings before today. So like you said and he said, and I'm saying it's something to build on. And with his start earlier in the homestand, which was good enough, you know, um, this could be a turning point for him in this season. It'd been a little bumpy since he'd been off the injured list, but he's put together back-to-back good starts, and maybe he has figured a couple things out. So, you know, good news on that front. Really, for 8 of the 9 innings, it was good, and just that eighth inning that got away from the Rangers. I will point out, Jonah Heim had that base running mistake that probably cost the Rangers a run, and that was a pretty critical one when he tried to go to third on a ground ball to the shortstop. That was a big play, as it turns out, but the Rangers unable to add on after they get the 3 runs in the fourth. Something that always seems to bite this team. They'll have a good inning and then take a lead, and that's the end of it.
Hmm.
That's I don't know if the bats check out or what, but something definitely changes. But again, I think the offense is also trending in the right way, despite this loss.
Well, the errors was, an interesting part of this series because these are teams that don't make those mistakes often. I mean, the Astros, 3 errors on Saturday's loss, and they had the fewest in Major League Baseball. Houston tied the Rangers third fewest in MLB with 18 prior to today's game. So, those little mistakes are sometimes costly and do cause you the game. Just uncharacteristic in that regard to the way that the game's played for those two teams.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are pretty dialed in, and base running errors, you don't get penalized for those, as far as receiving an error, but everybody knows. I'm sure Jonah doesn't feel great about it. He had stolen the second base, just moments before that. Kind of I'm sure shocked everybody, including Framber Valdez, but he took it, and maybe he got a little too aggressive there, trying to get to third. But as Bruce Bochy says, defense and pitching is what wins championships. He's been a big believer in that his whole career. He's got 4 championships. The Rangers were a really good defensive team in 2023, and I think they're a good defensive team now. They're one of the best in baseball if you kind of look at the defensive metrics, whether you believe in those or not. They're out there. Simeon is great at second. Douglas Garcia has been really, really good in right field. I tell you what, Wyatt Langford's turned into a hell of an outfielder. He
Hmm.
he seems to catch everything. He almost got the Paredes home run, but he's a nice player out there. So when you have a guy like Josh Smith, who's good, Josh Young, who has gotten better defensively after a couple hiccups his first few games. Seager's good when he's healthy. Uh, Center field appears to be in good hands with anybody who's out there. Really, I mean, Haggerty looked good today. Dustin Harris looked good in the past. Evan Carter, who's now hurt, we'll get to that in a little bit, made a great catch the other night in the opener. So, yeah, the Rangers are in a good spot. They really are. The pitching is still holding on the rotation front. The bullpen now, though, seems to be a little bit of a concern for the first time this year.
Well, especially, with waiting on Chris Martin and word from that, the starting rotation for the Rangers, best ERA in baseball, 2.8. Jack Leiter, again, incredible today. The stat line may not reflect it as well as it looked when you were watching it. Almost a no-no through 7. But any update on Ezekiel Duran?
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. I saw him after the game, but he was walking away, so I didn't get to ask him about his stuff, if you will. That was awful, but he stayed in the game and batted and ended up making the last out, taking a pitch that was really good,
Mhm.
yelling at the umpire. Maybe that was just a case of frustrations for the entire team, but I don't think he needs to go on the injured list or has a testicular torsion like Adrian Beltre had in 2007, I think it was. Maybe it's 2006, but a lot of these guys don't wear cups, and I know that I did it. This is a long time ago, but Alex Claudio was a reliever for the Rangers who, at the time, was between AAA and the big leagues, and there was a game in a spring game against the Brewers. He was pitching and he got hit by a ball in the nuts. And anyway, he got out of the inning, did a great job, whatever. So I asked him the next day if he wears a cup. He said no. I kind of did like an informal poll in the clubhouse, who wears cups and who didn't, and it was like 15-5 didn't wear cups. So they just don't like the discomfort. Maybe they think it slows them down, but
I bet Zeke might have wished he had
taking
it.
a ball there really slows you down. All right, and it makes
Right.
you sweat and throw up. It makes you do a whole bunch of things. So I don't know. Hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he's got a bag of ice taken.
You had a great tweet. We did
Well,
laugh about it upstairs.
That's me, Mr. Twitter. Yeah.
All right. Well, coming up next, we are going to break down Evan Carter to the IL and continue talking about this series split on the Silver Boot Series. So last night, I actually went to the Stars game as a fan.
Oh,
I don't get to do that often. Yeah, so I live near downtown, and the Stars had the opportunity to clinch, head to the Western Conference Finals for the third time in 3 years. So, I was like, I want to see how much these tickets are. I went to Game Time, checked it out. Wasn't as bad as you were thinking, especially when you use our code, and actually had a fantastic time. Had there been, anything pop up, I could have gotten a refund, but no way I was missing that game. Dallas might be a hockey town. I kept on thinking, man, I wish the Mavericks were still playing basketball, but I will say it was fun to be there and at the arena. So head over to Game Time. You can get $20 off your first purchase with the code DLLS, and Game Time has no hidden fees. So you're just going to pay what you pay for the tickets, and they're not going to add on, $200 extra for this, that, and the third. Game Time is the place to go. What time is it? Game time.
Game time. Speaking of balls, it's time to talk about Mando. Mando is a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of the man's body smelling fresh and clean. And we mean every aspect, okay? Pits, those smell. Belly buttons, not familiar with belly button smell. Balls, butt cracks, and grundles. And if you've been listening to our show, you know that grundles are taint. All right. These scents that Mando does, they're geared toward men, like bourbon leather, clover woods, pro sport, Mount Fuji. Not sure what that smells like, but apparently it's pretty manly. And if you want to be clean in your whole body and those parts that get sweaty when you're working out or just walking around town in the summertime, Mando is for you. So go to mando.com, and guess what? You can get $5 off the starter pack. That's shopmando.com.
Mando, here we go. Evan Carter. Any word today from Bruce Bochy? He was placed on the 10-day IL.
Yeah, 10 days, but it's going to be longer than 10. I think it was a grade 2 strain.
Quad strain.
Grade 2, yeah, quad strain. Those are pretty bad in the grade 2s. On the scale of strains, it's 1 to 3, so he's right there in the middle. I think Bruce Bochy said 2 weeks. I think it's going to probably be a little bit longer, just because you don't want to mess around with this thing, and plus it gives him a chance to catch up and let his back heal and keep working on things. But it's really kind of surprised the whole team, because Carter was willing to play yesterday. He thought he could have played. So they went and got the MRI, and it showed what it showed. So a little bit of a surprising move there, or not move. I mean, it's not surprising to put him on the IL, but surprised that he had to go on the IL. And I think he'd done a lot for the offense. He wasn't, his average wasn't 500 or anything, but he puts in a good at bat. He will take pitches, make a pitcher work. And that stuff's kind of contagious. You see somebody do it and get results, you're like, well, maybe I should do that. So that's unfortunate for him. At least it's not the back, so that's a good thing. It's not the back; it is the quad. So what happens? Sam Haggerty starts today. Does great. Sam Haggerty has a hit in all 4 starts he's had since being added to the roster. You go look at his career numbers, and he's not a full time player, but he's a pretty handy guy to have. He was kind of a fan favorite with the Mariners when they had him, and he's from the finished high school in the Denver area, so automatically I have to like him. But he's a pretty gritty little ball player out there. He'll go run down a fly ball. He'll get you a hit. He'll steal a base. He can bunt. He did that a couple times in spring training, and Bruce Bochy absolutely loved it. So if this team is struggling to score runs and they need somebody to bunt, Sam Haggerty's your guy. But it changes the offense a little bit. I still don't think the Rangers will do anything like play Langford in center field.
Mm-hmm.
Not ruling it out, but I think they feel like they've got coverage there between Haggerty, a switch hitter, and Josh Smith, who bats left-handed. Smith got a day today because Framber Valdez is left-handed. Same thing with Jock Peterson, so they should be fresh and ready to go against the Yankees. But the Yankees are going to throw two lefties in that series. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was surprising news that Evan Carter was the one who got hit. Oh, and Kevin Pillar, of course, Kevin
Yeah,
Pillar,
Kevin
who
Pillar.
came off the injured list today. He'll be in center field as well.
And with Evan Carter, I think the thing that was exciting for fans, because like you said, like not hitting 500, it was 182. But the thing about him in his 11 games was I think fans could see progress. He
Yeah,
was able to hit off of a lefty. And I think fans recognized there is improvement there. And that just comes with, the reps that he got at AAA. So I
yeah.
think, he brings a little bit of a spark to the clubhouse, and the Rangers are definitely going to, the Rangers click a little bit better when he's out there, in my opinion.
When he's healthy and doing what he's supposed to be doing, he's a very solid, good contributor. And we get it's always important to keep in mind with Evan Carter, he has less than 250 career at bats. If you want to throw in the postseason, all right, he's around 300. But this is a young player still developing. Josh Young is still a young player, still developing. Wyatt Langford still young and developing. So you have these guys who aren't quite finished products in there making significant contributions. A lot's being counted on them, but still have to remember that they're not perfect. They're going to get better. But I think Evan, again, the average isn't great, but he's hit a home run since he's been back. He's played really well defensively, and the back has held up. This is an entirely separate injury, so um, I think it's definitely in better shape than it was last season. When he had the 140 whatever at bats and missed basically the last 4 or 5 months of the season with the back deal. He's in a better place, and unfortunately, he's on the IL again. Nobody wants to be in that place, but this is an injury that won't linger for the next 6 months.
Do you think he's injury prone? Kevin Gray, the host of the Mavs podcast, which they are having Jason Kidd join live in studio tomorrow. Don't miss. But
I
Kevin
saw
Gray
that.
asks, is Evan Carter injury prone? Would you consider him
No, I
that?
don't think so. I mean, it's you look at his minor league career. Back his first full season, he basically ran into the wall and cracked his tailbone uh, or lower back, whatever. And then the 23, the year he debuted with the Rangers, he got hit by a pitch uh, on his left wrist, one of his wrists at Double A Frisco. Took a couple days off. Next day, back gets hit by a pickoff throw in the same spot, so that cost him about 3 weeks. This back issue, though, is concerning. There's no doubt about it. They aren't saying exactly what it is, just kind of the region that it's manageable. Evan says it's something he's going to outgrow, which is interesting. But there's no real details on what it is. But it does sound like it's going to be chronic here for a while, but manageable. And as long as he's managing it, great. This quad strain is the first of it variety that I've heard of in his career, where he's had to hit the injured list because of a leg injury. Look, baseball's tough, man. You play every day. Your muscles don't get a chance to recover very well, and sometimes things are a little worse than you think. They need to get it right, though. It's still May. They still have 100 and plus 120 games, 115 games left. I've lost count. A lot of games left, and if they want to be contenders, Evan Carter needs to be a part of that. The same goes for Corey Seager, who today
Yep.
ran before the game. I talked to him. He said he needs he hasn't swung a bat yet. That seemed to be the issue actually this time with the hamstring. He does not expect to be back in the minimum 10 days. He thinks it'll take a little bit longer. He wasn't sure how much longer, but they want to get it right. And he's tired of being on the injured list. So, look for him. What's today? The 18th? Maybe right around June 1st might not be a bad time for him to come back. But he is making progress. And today was a pretty big step forward when the guy's out there running.
Yeah. What about Rocker? Live BP Sunday?
Yeah, he threw live BP today, 20 pitches, basically 2 innings. He sat down once between. So next step for him is a rehab assignment, which he's going to need probably at minimum 2. He threw 40 pitches today. I bet he would repeat that next time, 2 and 40, then build up from there. I would think he will need 3 rehab starts, but he said that he feels good. The shoulder impingement has lessened, and he's had a chance to work on some other stuff. It wasn't great when he was before he was injured. It was up and down, and that actually is kind of a mild description. It was probably more down than up. But here's another guy who's young and developing, and a lot is expected of him. It wouldn't surprise me if he makes, 4 or 5, or if he gets optioned to AAA to continue to work. Look, Patrick Corbin's been really good. I know. Every time he takes the ball, you kind of have some trepidation just based on the last 4 or 5 years with him, but he figures it out and he keeps the Rangers in games. Yankee Stadium is going to be a test for him. The Yankees lineup is going to be a test for him. There's a guy in the middle there named Aaron Judge who is a right-handed hitter and might have a pretty good day against Patrick Corbin, but he's been good. And then you add in Leiter, if he's trending the right way, then you have the big 3 of DeGrom, Eovaldi, Malley, whatever order you want to put them in. That's 5 pretty good starters. Do you want to disrupt that? So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do at that point, but I think we have at least a couple weeks until a decision has to be made.
A few questions in the chat about Cody Bradford. John Gray did see a photo of John Gray out at the field today. Any update there?
Yeah, Cody threw a bullpen on Thursday. It was only 20 pitches. It was all fastballs, but he said he was 89 to 91 on the velocity. He's not throwing breaking balls yet, as the Rangers are taking a little more cautious approach there. But he said he feels fine, so that's a good sign. But again, this is very basic stuff. He's going to have to start over like it was spring training, and build up that way. John Gray is playing catch. He's throwing hard, and he's throwing out to about 90 feet. It looked like the other day, throwing off of flat ground. He's very excited about what's to come once he's healthy. But again, this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with Rocker. If you have 5 guys in the rotation who are pitching really, really well, I know some of these guys are going to get hurt
in baseball
and need some time off, whatever. You're going to have Rocker, you're going to have Gray, you're going to have Bradford. What are you going to do with all these guys, especially if they're coming back? And don't forget Josh Spores right at the All-Star break, let's say. And then 2 weeks after the All-Star break is the trade deadline. Do you need to go get a reliever, or do you say, hey, John Gray, I know you're about to become a free agent, but you would really help our team if you were a relief pitcher? I think John had said on the weekly podcast during the offseason he'd be up for the challenge, or he's okay with the idea. He wants to be a starter, but he'd be open to trying it. And when he has been a reliever, he's been great. So we'll see. We'll see. But again, there seems to be a need now for relief help, because if Martin is out any extended stretch of time, you're replacing him with I'm not sure who. The Rangers have Sean Armstrong, who saved 2 games early in the homestand and then spit the bit Friday night. You have Robert Garcia, who's been pretty good despite giving up the home run today. Jacob Webb has been up and down. Hobie Milner, I don't know that you can trust him and his frisbees that he throws up there to close games. So Cole Wynn's a guy who's been pretty good at AAA, but are you going to bring him in and put him in those situations? I know a lot of people want to see Emiliano Teodo, who's on the 40-man roster, but he's just coming back from injury, so he needs at least a couple appearances at Round Rock
Mm-hmm.
before the Rangers really have a feel for where he is. But I think his name is suddenly in the mix. And then there are some free agents out there like Chris Stratton. If you guys remember him from
Oh
2023,
yeah.
he just got designated for assignment today. Now that probably doesn't mean he's in a good spot, but he's a veteran guy who has pitched in the big leagues. David Robertson, everybody's like, oh, sign David Robertson. It's pretty interesting. The Rangers didn't really talk to him a lot this offseason. He's his own agent. But the Rangers got the sense that his family wants him to retire. Now, he hasn't signed with anybody, so he's not with a club. So that has some credence to it. But also, he could start pitching, and right around the All-Star break and the trade deadline, he could make a little bit of money as a free agent reliever. So I'm not sure where that one stands, but they're in a tough spot. Jose, I think his name, no, Luis Curvelo is at AAA, and he was a
Mm-hmm.
free agent acquisition this offseason, but he's never pitched in the majors. He's a guy who's throwing pretty well at AAA. Cody Hewer, who was once a up and coming relief prospect with the Cubs, he's been injured the last 2 or 3 years. He's throwing well right now after a really bad spring. So there are some options, but a couple of them are on the 40 man, and you probably don't want to sacrifice anybody on the 40 man. Maybe Garabito just because he's been so bad. But these are kind of the decisions facing the Rangers right now because I don't know how Chris Martin avoids the injured list on this one.
I agree. But if we know anything about Chris Young, it's that he's going to cook.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to cook. All right, coming up next, we are going to preview some more brothers in baseball. Geez, the Boons. The Rangers are heading to New York to take on the Yankees. We've got a series preview coming up, so stick with us.
First, though, you got to hear me talk about how awesome the Sleeper app is, and I'm always a big player on this thing, um, and here's why: it heightens the sports experience. You can do it for not much at all. It's daily picks. Okay, will Jack Leiter allow more or less than 4.5 hits in his start? I don't know if that was today's number or not, but that's an example. I've already hit one of my sleeper picks today. I feel good about this second one that's currently ongoing. So it's just fun. And if you use the code DLLS Rangers, Sleeper will match up to $100 on your first deposit.
Next, we have Shady Rays. A few friends sent us some nice pair of sunglasses that we have been loving, but they've got so many different options that you can choose. You can get your team color. So if you want to wear powder blue on Sunday, like the Rangers, take them out to Globe Life Field, you can do that. They also offer polarized sunglasses. They're affordable too. Great sunglasses don't have to come at a great price. Steep price, I should say, because they are at a great price. And then when you use the 35% off discount that we are going to give you, code DLLS, it's a steal. I mean, we like to give good deals out here. Tons of options. 5 stars rated by 300,000 people. They're great for outdoor activities. I think Rads has probably purposely tried to break his just to see how durable that they are. But I'm gathering they're going to last a very, very long time. And if you don't love your pick, you can send them back. You have 30 days to make the switch hassle-free. So great partners with Shady Rays. Use the code DLLS, 35% off on your sunglasses. And they're great. So the Rangers made a move, and so far it's been pretty good. Rangers bring Brett Boone to the organization as the hitting coach. I actually took a look at the numbers. I wanted to see, sample sizes are completely different, so I want to definitely preface it with that. But his impact it's been subtle, but there's something that's happening with this offense. It's still not where it should be. I think they're 24th right now in the league in offensive categories and towards the bottom in a few, but seems like the Rangers have been clicking a little bit better. I love these videos in the dugout. Jock Peterson almost tackling Brett Boone when he hit his home run. A guy that's been struggling, but the numbers are incredible from opening day until May 5th, which is the day that they let go of Donnie Ecker. 113 runs, 255 hits, 31 home runs. From May 5th to now, which is 12 games, 50 runs scored, 90 hits, and 19 home runs. Again, different sample size, but those are good numbers. You want to give it full 35 games, I guess, to do apples to apples, because we're doing apples to oranges right now. But Brett Boone, big change for the Rangers, and offense has started to click. I mentioned that because his brother is Aaron Boone, and the
Yes.
Rangers are going to play the Yankees.
Yes. You know who their manager is? Yeah, Aaron Boone. So,
what's your take with Brett? I mean, you've been around the clubhouse all week.
yeah, yeah. First of all, he's a good guy. Likes to talk. Makes the time for media because he is one of us now. He's a podcaster, so he understands it.
Get him
But
on the show,
um,
Jeff.
well, he's still got his show. We got to figure this one out. But he doesn't like the attention that he's getting because he thinks he's still in the feeling out portion of everything. But it's hard to argue with the stuff that you uncovered and how much better the Rangers have been offensively. The at bats have been better, and so you ask players, and I think they're being respectful of Donnie Ecker, who was the one fired, but they're saying, I think it was just a matter of time till these guys were able to heat up and get going and get settled in. But you also know that there's some conversations that have taken place, just some things to put different thoughts in their heads, basic thoughts like, hit the ball where it's pitched.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen a lot of big Rangers hits going to right field, from right-handed batters. That wasn't happening. Guys were pull happy and rolling over on pitches rather than just going with where the ball was pitched. So that's something that's different. So he's definitely having an effect. And some of it might have just been like a chance for the take some pressure off the hitters. They knew they weren't doing anything. And while I'm sure they feel bad that their lack of performance led to Donnie's dismissal, I would think that they also are like, all right, let's see what this guy has to do. Let's clear our heads. Let's get some new thoughts in there, some new ideas about approach, and see what happens. And I think you've seen some improvement across the board. And then to be specific, there are specific hitters who have I think benefited from the change.
Jock Peterson's definitely one of them. But I
Peterson, yeah.
I listened to a podcast that he hopped on as well, and interesting takeaway was he's like, I just want the guys to watch the game. He said,
Yeah.
There's a time and place for the iPad because there is, I think that's, there's positive and negatives of how advanced this game has gotten in the last few years with the technology. I mean, it's stuff that guys just didn't have before. Can you imagine if, Derek Jeter and Big Papi and just Nolan Ryan, all these guys had the technology that they have now? He said there's a time and place, to do that when you're at the game, see what you need to see, but, go out there and actually watch the game. And I think baseball, nothing is better than the eye test. And, that's Bruce Bochy is going to stick to the eye test 10 times out of 10. And he's going to go with the feel. So the fact that it's, a little bit of an old school baseball feel, I feel like the guys are really accepting of that, and things have changed a lot. Jock Peterson, 11 walks in the last 11 games, most in the American League during that span. It's not a big hit, but hey, he's getting on base and setting it up for the next guy. And I think for Jock just to have some sigh of relief, you're going to see things happen. Like you mentioned, when the pressure is off. When, I remember when Wyatt Langford hit his first home run last year and took him a month to do so, and then it's cranking him out. So comes with a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, seems that the vibes are good around Brett Boone.
Yeah, and watching the game, you can learn a lot watching a baseball game. You can learn, what a pitcher's doing. You can talk to your teammates about their at bats and just figure things out. It also helps adjust later in games, which is still something I think the Rangers struggle with. But it's there's no doubt that analytics is still a part of this. Justin Veely is still part of the hitting staff, and Brett Boone said that everything is totally copacetic with those guys. They've had a good transition, and he didn't come in sticking his chest out saying this is the way we're going to do things. You know, those two guys, Veely and Seth Connor, are still doing their jobs, the way they were doing it, and there is some analytics in that. Veely and Donnie Eckert worked together for a long time. They're good buddies, so they think a lot alike and coach a lot alike. But I think where Boone comes in is he kind of can strip away situations where maybe hitters are a little confused or have too much going through their brains and just say, hey, you know, see ball, hit ball, or look for this or whatever, And another thing, and this is what Mark McLemore had said um, when we had him on the mini pod. He said that Brett Boone was as good as anybody he was ever teammates with at breaking down a pitcher, finding their weaknesses in the middle of a game. And if Brett Boone, who's been in the box, he was an all star and a Silver Slugger Award winner, finished second in the MVP race one year. If Brett Boone, who's been there and done that, tells you that, then I think it gives him a little credibility, and the hitters trust him a little bit more. He's gone through exactly what they're going through right now, so they have somebody to lean on, somebody who can relate with them, but also somebody who can help them get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Have you talked to Josh Young, specifically since May 5th when Boone came on? OPS is over 1,000.
Yeah, Josh said he's had conversations with Boone, and there are conversations that have taken place across the team. But he's another guy that is like, this was going to happen. And that was the belief all along, that this team was going to start to hit. And the last 2 weeks, the offense has been really good. The at bats have been better. A good at bat doesn't necessarily result in a hit. We talked about how in the eighth inning the Rangers had four balls hit over 100 miles per hour and didn't score. Three of them were outs. That's the way baseball go. But those were good at bats. So I think that as long as they continue to have the good at bats, more good things are going to happen. But they do need to keep their foot on the throttle, if you will, their foot on their necks when on opposing pitchers' necks when they get a chance to get out and get ahead. They got to keep scoring because you never know what's going to happen. Like the eighth inning today for Jack Leiter and Nick Marley, the plate umpire, and Chris Martin
Oh
and
yeah.
Robert Garcia. You never know. So you can never score too many runs.
You know what was kind of funny, and I say funny not in a funny way. Clarence Hill would be
Ha
like, "It
ha,
better be
kind of
funny."
ha ha way.
Yeah. Uh, Framber Valdez has never lost at Globe Life Field, and the last outing, Corey Seager in the ninth broke up his no with the home run. So
Huh.
it was kind
Yeah.
of hmm?
Yeah. Framber, he pitched well today. He hasn't been great this season. I think his stuff is kind of down. He was still throwing hard at times, but it just felt like it wasn't the same Framber. And same thing with Brian Abreu. I thought his velocity was way down when he pitched in the eighth. Maybe they're tired. Honestly, they've thrown so much the last 5
Yeah,
years, with the
Framber
Astros
was
always
coming
being
off
in the
of
playoffs.
4 days of rest.
Yeah, yeah. So normal rest, but without an off day. I mean, I think that's a legitimate thing. But he's as John and I kind of talked about last week. He's an interesting case for the Astros. He's going to be a free agent. If they fall too far back, would they consider trading him? Because it seems like they wouldn't have the money to re-sign him if they wouldn't re-sign Bregman, or if they traded Tucker away from Escalade, fears of how much money he's going to make in free agency, or maybe they were just saving their money for Framber. I don't know, but it's kind of an interesting scenario with him. I mean, I'd still take him on my team. I'll tell you that. I mean, I think he's good enough. I think honestly, I think the Rangers would take him right now. to be honest, he's a good pitcher. He's top 5 in the Cy Young voting last year. Had a great second half, so maybe the best is yet to come. But it just felt like it wasn't quite the same guy, even though he ended up getting the win.
Yep. Well, up next, we are going to be batting cleanup, as we like to call it, talking about all things around Major League Baseball and what are Patrick Corbin, Jacob deGrom, and Nathan Eovaldi going to do with a guy that, man, Aaron Judge. What do you do with that guy, Jeff? We'll talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. So now's the time to be a diehard. I mean, we've been saying this. How long have we been a company? 8 months now? Time flies when you're having fun.
August 26th. Yep.
Time flies when you're having fun. But now's the time. I mean, the Stars could potentially make a run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Oh my gosh, Jeff, are you a big hockey guy?
Not really. I don't dislike the sport by any means, but anyway, they're
Baseball
good.
guy.
The Stars are good. Yeah.
Stars are great, and we've got a great crew, talking about them. The Mavs just won the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. Cooper Flagg potentially, probably will be a Dallas Maverick. A lot to cover there on the DLS Mavs show. And then the Cowboys, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons, Dak Prescott, all of the things. Our crew has the inside scoop. Dak Prescott and Clarence Hill get one-on-one interviews all the time, exclusive stuff that you won't get anywhere else, which is why you should join and become a diehard. You get a free shirt with your membership. You get 20% off of events and merchandise. So many fun things, and you get great content like Jeff Wilson writes something almost every single day for the Rangers. So truly is the best in the business, covering all the teams in Dallas. Join today and basically you're paying yourself to be the most educated Dallas sports fan.
That's right. It's a worthy investment, and with it you get a free shirt. So you need to go to store.allcitynetwork.com to pick out one of those. And this is the last day of the spring clearance sale. Up to 75% off. That's at the entire All City network across all 5 of our sites, networks / stations, whatever you want to call them. Good deals for you guys. Look, these products are great. Store.allcitynetwork.com. I counted up. I have 15 shirts and 2 sweatshirts. I am adding more to my portfolio, and this is a great time to do it. So head on over there. Again, store.allcitynetwork.com. You get a free shirt when you become a diehard. It's such a great deal. Do it today.
And while you're here, go ahead and set your clock for Monday's show with the DLLS Mavs crew. They are going to have head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, Jason Kidd, join the show. I imagine they're going to be talking about Cooper Flagg. Kyrie just underwent surgery, all the things. Noon tomorrow, Jason Kidd joins live in studio.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good get right there for those fellas.
I think we know a guy that knows a few guys, and the guy I'm talking about is Mark Stein. So
yeah. Well, Tim knows some guys. They all know guys. They're a pretty talented little crew.
They all know guys. All right, so where do Jeff, you were at the field today, and there was a signing.
Yes.
A potential
Song Jun Kim. He's been billed as the Korean Otani, though I think that's incredibly unfair, and we shouldn't do that to anybody. He was here this weekend, made his first appearance today when he signed his contract to become a Texas Rangers prospect. He is 18 years old. Just turned 18 too. Turned 18 on May 1st. He has not finished high school yet. So first order of business for Mr. Kim is to graduate. Get his
high
degree.
School.
Graduate high school, which will happen in January. In the meantime, the Rangers are going to give him a weight program and workout regimen and all that stuff, and throwing program and whatnot, so he can continue his development. He's 6'1" or 6'2", 180 pounds. I mean, he looks like he's 18. Holy cow, does he have a baby face? But
the Korean skincare is amazing, though. He could be using that too.
He has a chance to grow, get stronger quickly. And then they may bring him over for instructs, just to kind of check in, see what he's doing, what he needs to work on. Because once he has that diploma, he becomes a full-time baseball player. I'm assuming he will head to Arizona, and should be right around the start of spring training when he does. And he takes off from there. They're going to let him develop as a two-way player. That was part of the agreement. He's a pitcher and a shortstop. One scout told me he's probably going to end up as a pitcher. Kim himself said that his pitching right now is a little bit better than his offense and position player stuff. Although he's still confident that he can do both. He said that he would have been the number one overall pick in the KBO draft. He signed with the Rangers instead because he said this would be the fastest way for him to develop into the best player in the world. Or no, the big leagues. He said the big leagues, the best player in the big leagues, which means you're the best player in the world. So he's not shy on confidence or goals, but he also said, he was asked, when do you think you'll make your big league debut? And he said 2030. So he's given himself some time to
Okay.
develop and a little grace and maybe understanding some hiccups in the road. I think a key player in all of this is going to be Shin-Soo Choo, who is a former Rangers player, lives in our areas in Tarrant County, and loves to help Korean. Well, he likes to help Korean players. He loves to help minor leaguers, and he wants to help the Rangers too. So I think that that's going to be a priority to make sure that Kim and Chu are buddies, and that if Kim is ever homesick or feeling blue or whatever, he knows he can call Shin-Soo Chu and have a good conversation in his native language and laugh and have a good time. Chu is as good a person as I've met in this game. During the pandemic year in 2020, Chu donated $1,000 to every Rangers minor leaguer because they weren't going to play that year, and they had no income. And so Shin-Soo Choo gave them all $1,000. Now, could he have given them more? Yeah, but come on, nobody else in
Yeah,
baseball stepped
nobody's
up
even
and
given
did
him
that.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody else stepped up and did that. Chu would each spring, one day each spring, he would feed the minor leaguers like this extravagant spread of steaks and barbecue and chicken and ribs and all of this stuff. He gets it, and part of his journey, part of what helped him develop into a really good major league ball player was the trials he had in the minor leagues, because he was 18 years old when he came from Korea, didn't speak a lick of English, and was by himself. And it was he will tell you it was very, very difficult until he got to the point where he knew a little of English and was able to communicate with his teammates a little bit better. It was a lonely time for him, and it was tough. And so he's going to make sure that Sung Joon Kim does not have those issues, or has them at a far smaller scale than Chu did. So I'm looking forward to seeing that develop. But it's exciting that they have this guy. They had some extra money after not signing Sasaki. They kept some of their powder dry internationally. They've been on this guy for about a year. So before they even knew Sasaki was going to be posted. So it's not just something they decided to do on the fly. They did their homework on this guy, and they're going to let him develop. But he has to develop as a baseball player and as a human, because he's
Yeah.
coming into a new culture.
Well, his 5-year plan is very different than mine. Graduate high school and then make my MLB debut. All
Yeah,
all
hey,
within, Hey, it works out for the Rangers, so it works out for us. All right, the Twins are looking to win 14 straight for the third time in franchise history. They haven't allowed a run in 33 consecutive innings, longest streak since moving to Minnesota. I haven't checked the update on that game, but that was heading
they
into today.
they have lost the game. The
Lost the game.
Twins have lost. The
Snap,
Brewers won.
snap the streak.
Brewers won 5-2. The scoreless inning streak was ended in the second inning by the Brewers. Yeah, what a streak though. And then just completely reverses the Twins season. They are now in second place in that division. Things are very clearly looking up for them. they were maybe the biggest disappointment next to the Rangers last year in baseball. They were really um, expected to run away with the Central and ended up being the Twins. Three teams from that division made the playoffs last year, and none of them was the Twins. So um, there you go. It's kind of shaking things up in that division, which is still very good because the Tigers, as you know, Abby, were the first team in the big leagues to reach 30 wins. They did that Friday, lost yesterday. The Dodgers and the Mets entered today at 29. So, hey, that
Tigers
Central's
won, by the way.
looking pretty good. Tigers won today, so they're now at 31. Um,
Won. And that AL
the Dodgers,
Central is tight. I mean, I don't think people really notice. Like it's a tough division these days.
yeah. The White Sox are the White Sox, and they're better than they were last year, right? But yeah, that's a that's a four-team race, and the Royals right now they just yesterday put Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo on the injured list. That's two studs in their
Oh yeah.
rotation. Both were top five in the Cy Young last year, so um, that's a pretty big deal. So this is a big stretch coming up for the Royals without two big guns. But yeah, the Guardians always figure out a way to be good. Although their run differential is pretty substantial. The Rangers actually are now positive run differential even after today. So +1, mind you, but still they're on the green side, not the red side. But Central's good, the West is good, which takes us to the East, which has only one team above 500, the Yankees, who the Rangers play next, and the Orioles
Uh,
just fired their manager. They've
yeah.
lost six in a row because they already got beat today. But yeah,
They're
Brandon
pulling the
Hyde got
plug
fired.
pretty early, like
He got fired yesterday, and I think it caught a lot of people off guard. They have not been good. Now, there's no arguing that. Their run differential is -85, which is huge. Um, some of these young guys are just now starting to come around, but some of them still haven't quite found their footing offensively. The pitching's been a disaster, and I don't know how that's necessarily Brandon Hyde's fault. The Orioles did not go out and spend
yeah.
money this offseason,
They
right? They
did not.
signed they
They didn't
signed
spend a dollar.
Sugano, and Sugano's been pretty good for them. Um, Grayson Rodriguez is hurt, which isn't good. But one of their biggest acquisitions was Kyle Gibson,
Hmm.
who they just released today or designated for assignment because he has a 16 ERA after five starts.
Yeah.
He got lit up yesterday, and they're paying him $5.5 million. So I don't know that you can pin this one entirely on Brandon Hyde. Fortunately, he's the guy in charge of the team. The guy in charge of the organization can't fire himself, or I guess he could. I guess the owner could step in and make a change there, but um, yeah, the on-field product has not been very good for the Orioles.
Orioles and the White Sox. Misty brings up a good point. Are the White Sox any better than they were last year? Well, last year, 47 games in 2024, they're 14 and 33. They're 14 and 33 right now.
Ah!
So the trend is going to trend.
I don't know. You feel better about it, though. It seems like it. Maybe they're not losing as badly, but maybe the worst is yet to come. But the Orioles only have one more win than the Red Sox or than the White
Yeah,
Sox.
one.
So that'll tell you something. And then the poor old Rockies, they're still down there in single digits.
Oh, yeah.
But they won last night. They won last night. They beat. They ended up winning the game started by Zach Gallen. So that's pretty good. But the NL West has four teams above 500. The Central has two teams above. The Cardinals are playing pretty well. And then the NL East, watch out for the Braves. They just got above 500 for the first time this year
Woo!
yesterday after their dreadful start. Don't lose track of the Braves. They're getting Spencer Strider back tomorrow, I believe. So, not tomorrow. They're in their upcoming series at the Nationals. They will be getting their stud pitcher back. So things are looking up for the Braves, and Ronald Acuna just went on a rehab assignment, so they're going to get better. They're going to get better.
Well, NL Central, the Pirates. Paul Skeens threw his first complete game today.
8 innings. He put an
And
asterisk by it.
They lost 1-0.
Yeah.
He has allowed only 17 earned runs in 10 starts this year, and the Pirates has lost 7 of those games.
Yeah. I saw a tweet that he is the first pitcher in Pirates history to toss a complete game on 3 or fewer hits
And lose?
with 9 strikeouts and lose the game. And the Pirates have been playing baseball for a long
Yeah.
time. All right, a long time, and that's a pretty staggering thing. And then I saw something. I got my brother-in-law Adam. He tweeted me. I guess that Jeff Passan said that the best thing for the Pirates to do might be to trade Paul Skeens. I don't think anything the Pirates could do would work. I really don't. I'm not sure what you would get for him. What would the Pirates try to do? Well, they'd probably try to get young, controllable guys and prospects. Well, those may not work out. You just may not develop them. And then when you do, or when they reach the big leagues, it's going to be like potentially Evan Carter and Josh Young and Wyatt Langford. Some bumps in the road, some injuries. There are no sure things there. The sure things are the guys that are getting paid $30 million a year. Well, guess what? The Pirates don't pay anybody $30 million a year. So, hey, we're going to overtime. Uh, we're here every weekday, just about Monday through Thursday, and then all series finales we do post game shows. Anyway, my thoughts on the Pirates: they're terrible, and I feel bad for Paul Skeens. They've been drafting at the top of the draft. Remember the Jack Leiter year? They took Henry Davis, the catcher from Louisville, and he's been up and down. He hasn't been worthy of the number 1 overall pick. That was a value pick. You've got O'Neal Cruz, who's dynamic and has all these tools. He's in center field now. They missed on a Korean teenager, Bay, who hasn't come through yet. So I mean, Key Brian Hayes, young third baseman who was supposed to be a stud. I think he has 1 home run this year. Remember Brian Reynolds? Everybody wanted the Rangers to trade for Brian Reynolds. He hasn't necessarily taken off like people thought he would. So I mean, there's some definite problems here. Maybe it's a player development thing. I'm not sure, but the Pirates just aren't cranking out the big leaguers that they need to with all these
Mhm.
high draft choices.
Yeah. Let's get to a few questions in the chat before we see you guys tomorrow. Do you see CY making any drastic changes to the team in the near future?
Near no. Uh, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to acquire talent at this time of the year. It just is. There's nothing you can really do. Now there are some guys out there who we know. We mentioned David Robertson earlier. Maybe his phone's lighting up a little bit. I don't know, but it's hard. It's hard to get talent at this time of the year. It's not saying it can't be done. Like the Rangers got Robbie Grossman basically last year at this
Mhm.
point. All right, is Robbie Grossman a drastic change?
Yeah.
No, but there might be a relief arm out there on a bad team that you can go get and try to help add some depth back to the bullpen because again they're low on depth. We have Cole Winn who's on the 40-man roster, who I'm assuming is going to be right back on the active roster if Chris Martin hits the IL. Teodo's getting close, but that's it on the 40-man. After that you're going pretty deep with some guys who, yeah, you've had them in your system, you've had them in spring training, but do you trust them? Are they going to be able to go get you the big outs? So I'm not sure, but that's definitely something to consider. I just don't think there's anything in the short term. But Chris Young has surprised us many, many times before.
Mm-hmm. And then update on Martin. No official update, but Bruce Bochy did say shoulder discomfort. More to come on that. You kind of touched on that just a second ago. Jeff, can you see the question?
No, but yeah, hopefully he's. I don't know. Shoulders are always terrible. Those are just
Yeah.
the worst. A starting pitcher would rather have an elbow injury than a shoulder injury, or any pitcher would. So but at this point in the year, let's say it's an oblique injury, a grade 2 oblique. Well, that's 6 or 8 weeks. That's and that might be no throw for 6 to 8 weeks. And Maybe Mark Church is a guy who can come back, but I think he's injured. So I mean, there's just a lot of trepidation right now. I saw the bullpen. Bullpen's a big issue. It is a major issue.
Someone mentioned John Gray to the bullpen when he returns.
Yeah, I mentioned that too, and great in July. Now maybe if he comes back as a reliever, that shortens the amount of rehab time. He doesn't have to get stretched out to throw 100 pitches in a start. So maybe, just maybe, that's an option. I mean, it's if it turns out terrible, then yeah, they're going to have to do something like that. But I think in the short term, I think it's Cole Winn immediate short term, possibly Teodo here in the next week or two, depending on how he is doing at AAA. They want him to, more than anything, they want him to be able to throw strikes. He took the time off for some shoulder fatigue. I think some of that was him getting a break after spring training and throwing a lot. So I think that that's a possibility once maybe June 1st rolls around. But who knows? If another guy gets hurt and they don't have a choice, then maybe he is the guy. But boy, suddenly with this week, Jackson getting hit in the hand. He pitched great today. Martin elbow, now shoulder, and then Armstrong pitching well, but then giving it up the other night. And then Garcia was no real problem with Garcia's outing other than that one pitch that ended up as a 3-run homer. I've never been a big fan of left-handed closers, so I'm a little concerned about that. I mean, the injury to Martin, the Astros just came at a time when the Astros had all right-handers coming up, or could use the bench to get a right-hander up. So it really was
it hurt to see, because you knew that he knew. All right, well, a heartbreaking 4-3 loss today, and the Rangers are going to split the series. Silver Boot Series, we kicked it off. We're going to be talking about the Rangers tomorrow. The Rangers are off, but they're heading to New York, and we'll be talking about how the Rangers can try to deal with this guy named Aaron Judge.
Oh, good luck
all
with that.
Up next. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.